Music. Music is a force that affects me like no other in the world, and the way it has influenced and infused itself into my life is pretty self-evident. I'm a pre-professional dancer of 16 years and a trained choreographer of 8 years. I sing with my parish's large choir so as to get the most out of every Sunday Mass. I spent countless hours picking out just pre-show music for my senior-directed one act to make sure my audience was put in the right place, mindset, and mood before the show even began. I have dozens of playlists on my phone for every mood, and the list goes on. Music has the power to make or break any form of theatrical storytelling, and yes, I believe this includes video games. Today, I want to bring to light a certain series and its musical themes, more specifically, its most atmospheric dungeon themes. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice, and I'm joined today by a friend and fellow Zelda fan, HylianLuke, who, by the way, has his own awesome channel that you need to check out. Link in the description below.
Hey, the Geek Apprentice, thank you so much for having me on this video. What's up, guys? HylianLuke here. The Legend of Zelda. I think we can all agree that when it comes to this stellar collection of games, Koji Kondo has more than fulfilled the musical remedy of connecting a dungeon's music to the dungeon itself. We all have our favorites, the songs that hit us right in the nostalgia, or the themes that invoke sweating palms as we anticipate an arduous boss battle. Of all the things Zelda music has accomplished, probably the most difficult effect it has pulled off with great success, its atmospheric dungeon themes. The ones that draw you into location and its unique style so intensely that upon hearing it outside of the game, certain emotions are instantly evoked, all associated with that particular dungeon.
But not all dungeon themes accomplish this task so well. Now, that's not meant to be a dig at those lesser themes, but in fact, it's when we hear those okay dungeon themes that the greater ones are highlighted and show us how important and potent a theme can be to our experience of a dungeon. But the question remains, of the plethora of dungeon themes out there, which are the best?
We've got 10 listed here that we believe exceed expectations. Now, we have to clarify. For one thing, this is just our opinion, and just because a certain theme doesn't make it on the list, doesn't mean we don't like it. It was incredibly difficult to narrow this down to 10 in the first place. Also, it's good to know that these top 10 picks are not necessarily our favorite themes for dungeons, but our top picks for themes that fit the corresponding dungeon the best. On a final note, aside from the number one pick that we have saved up just for you, the rest of these picks are not in any specific order. With that note out of the way, enjoy the video.
Starting off this list is the theme for the Ice Ruins in A Link Between Worlds. This melody has an amazing balanced mix of ambience, chill, and eeriness. The timing and pitch of the handbells on top of the other instruments creates the perfect sound for an icy atmosphere. The constant of the bass instruments mirrors the slipperiness of the ice. The more warm and grounded subtle hints of shakers fulfills the idea of ruins, and that this was once a lively place not overrun by winter's worst. Much like the music for the Ice Cavern in Ocarina of Time, the theme for the Ice Ruins has the ability to practically send shivers through your body as if you were actually there.
Alright, you had to know that the theme for the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time would make this list. Its dungeon and Bottom of the Well are iconic for a classic Zelda meme. You know, the one parroting the fact that this game was listed as rated E, yet every kid under the age of 10 was probably peeing themselves trying to get through this nightmare-inducing dungeon. Thank goodness it was pretty easy and linear. Jokes aside, this theme captures the essence of the Shadow Temple on a creepy level. It has at its core some empty-sounding drums reflecting the hollow and lifeless nature of the mausoleum. The song is also riddled with both deep and shrill moans that linger as if the ghosts of the tortured are following your every step. It's truly scary how well this theme accompanies the atmosphere of this dungeon.
Next on this list is the theme from inside the castle in Breath of the Wild. Sure, this game was lacking in the dungeon department, but I do consider this a dungeon and certainly the coolest of all that we get in the game. In addition, while Breath of the Wild expressed a minimalist soundtrack, I've always felt it was rightly so. Given the state of Hyrule, it made sense. Hence, when we cross the outskirts of Hyrule Castle and are greeted with that epic theme, as well as the theme for inside the castle, it's such a huge change from what we've been getting that you instantly feel your blood pumping. You know you've hit the big area and better be prepared. I know, the boss wasn't too great, but let's ignore that for a moment while we're talking about the music. Reusing Zelda's lullaby, throwing in weird dissonant melodies, the organ, all of this combined with other excellent instruments in contrast to the almost silence we've received throughout most of the world creates a crazy atmosphere, wonderfully complementing the interior state of the castle.
Upon your first listen, one might think that the musical score accompanying the Face Shrine in Link's Awakening is too much. Yet, as you make your way through the dungeon, this theme presents itself as wonderfully setting us up for what the boss has to say after you defeat him. You're in the latter half of the game at this point. You've literally just learned about the fate of the island via the text under the picture of the Windfish. You're basically in the endgame. This theme brings about feelings of unwanted anticipation, as if your gut is warning you that something bad is about to happen. Indeed, the shrine itself is falling apart, trying to get rid of you as floor tiles are sent flying to injure Link. It's incredibly powerful. Then you defeat the smack-talking facade, very on-the-nose name by the way, and he seems to panic a little, telling you, if the Windfish wakes up, everything on this island will be gone forever, and I do mean everything. Yes, he's taunting you, but at this point in the game, the characters have begun to grow on us, the player, and the idea of everything disappearing is saddening. No, of course you have to continue. You can't stay in a dream world forever, but it's getting increasingly difficult to follow through on that plan. The music for this dungeon, tied in with its boss, enemies, and position in the story, captures all of those conflicting thoughts and emotions quite well.
Number 6 is the theme for Inside Jabu Jabu's Belly from Ocarina of Time. Here's the thing, I don't enjoy this dungeon. It always grossed me out as a kid. I also really don't enjoy escort missions, even when it's adorable Makar or Sweet Medley from Wind Waker. So why does this theme make the list? Not because I love it, but because it most definitely captures the atmosphere of being inside a giant fish carrying around an annoying humanoid fish princess. I mean, the song even has sounds eerily reminiscent of internal bodily functions and fluids, as if it's the sound of stomach acid breaking down its latest meal. Ew! Come on, Koji Kondo, I'm not sure whether to be grossed out or impressed. Or both. Probably both, since it made the list.
Of all the desert themes, the one we chose is the Desert Palace theme from A Link Between Worlds. This theme had some strong competition with all of the amazing Gerudo Desert variations, but something about this rendition of a desert song stands out the most among them all. While a lot of this might be stereotyping what a, quote, desert is, it still holds some truth. Speaking of stereotyping, most of us when we think of a desert, think of a vast dryness. Certainly it has its own wealth of beauty, and we are not denying that, but it's at that emptiness that the song plays into very well. Maybe empty isn't the correct word, but simplicity. This theme offers a minimalist melody comprising of instruments like simple drums, bells, and something else we can't place. Then it fills our ears with a stunning but kind of chilling mix of vocals clearly inspired by a myriad of cultures one might associate with this kind of terrain. Despite its innate level of almost ethereal eeriness, at its core it reflects the unique beauty of the desert local.
When creating this list, there needed to be at least one song from a water-themed dungeon. I don't really count Jabu Jabu, but some may not consider this one either. While there were many contenders, the one chosen is Angler's Tunnel from Link's Awakening, particularly the Switch remake. There is oftentimes a trend that water dungeons have calming music, while the actual mechanics of the dungeon itself are anything but. The contrast is funny, but not always when you're pulling your hair out, raising and lowering water levels. However, in Link's Awakening we get an aquatic-themed dungeon whose music fits the mood. The dungeon itself isn't too difficult and is actually quite enjoyable, in my opinion, despite the elementary level boss. Especially in the Switch remake, the look of the dungeon is almost serene and dreamy, and its musical theme? Likewise. It's got a slow and steady tempo like the ebb and flow of waves in the ocean, while also emitting a sound that has an almost dreamlike quality, very befitting for a water dungeon set in a dream world like Koholint.
The ancient cistern in Skyward Sword is just as unique and lovely as the dungeon itself. The cistern gives off the vibe of being similar to that of an elaborate Buddhist temple. It's peaceful, serene, and ornate in a simplistic way. The music certainly is inspired by the sounds of ancient Japanese culture and religion. With its use of bells and other classic Asian instruments, it creates a modest melody that can put you in a zen state of mind. Pair this with the calm waters, peaceful lily pads, and golden statues, and you've got a theme representing its dungeon very well. What makes the music of the ancient cistern so unique is when Link ventures underground, the music just kinda dies. The music transitions from this beautiful atmospheric water palace to an undead realm of shadows. I'm not gonna lie, my skin crawled upon my first visit here.
For number 2, we've got the music that accompanies the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess. I imagine that no matter your personal feelings on completing this dungeon, we can agree on two specific qualities it possesses. It is both strange and somehow celestial in a sense. The reasons for these two traits are clear to see. Being what it is, a city in the sky, it naturally gives off a more airy or ethereal aura. However, it is also home to those things, the uka. Yeah, that. Needless to say, the music has captured both of these aspects quite well. The bass theme is lofty, almost heavenly in sound. Yet, inserted throughout the song are these weird sounds that are both somewhat mechanical and also uku animalistic? I think you get what I'm trying to say. Let's move on.
As mentioned before, with all of the incredible music gifted to us throughout 30 years of Zelda games, there was bound to be many that, while fitting for its area, just didn't make the cut. Some of these didn't make it simply because they weren't dungeon themes, but still deserve some recognition. So here are many honorable mentions. And finally, the number one pick, the theme that encapsulates the atmosphere of its dungeon better than any in the series. While the other 9 picks weren't in any specific order, this one is definitely top dog.
The Forest Temple, Ocarina of Time. Now, if you were to ask me, what would music for an abandoned mansion in the woods sound like? I could maybe just give vague descriptions? Eerie? Creepy? Empty? Personally, I would have a hard time giving specifics compared to other dungeons. For example, Ice Dungeon, soprano glockenspiel, wind instruments, soprano handbells. Forest Dungeon, depending on the specifics, drums, shakers, low wind instruments. You catch my point. And even though this is the Forest Temple, the examples I gave for Forest wouldn't fit like they would for, say, the Woodfall Temple from Majora's Mask and the like.
And yet, the moment you hear the theme given by Koji Kondo, you know it's exactly what it needs to be. In addition to fulfilling the 3 vague adjectives given, it's also haunted and is a stark transition from those 3 child dungeons we completed. This is our first dungeon following the fall of Hyrule, becoming Adult Link and the reign of Ganondorf. The sound you hear from the theme is mysterious. It's intriguing. Your first mission as an adult. Perfection at its finest.
While this list is comprised of opinions, I just can't help but believe there is no dungeon theme that does so well what this one accomplishes. No other temple song that captures the atmosphere of its area as strongly as this one. That is why the Forest Temple is number 1 on our list of the most atmospheric dungeon music. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to comment below which dungeon themes are your favorites or which ones you feel brought you into the atmosphere best. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider subscribing. Speaking of subs, be sure to check out HylianLuke. He has a huge variety of different videos and live streams that I think you would totally enjoy. And another major thank you to him for helping me with this video. It's so fun to work with other Zelda fan and content creators. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.